decision about you. And what is coming through right away is that something inside this person clicked all at once. This does not feel like a slow unfolding in the way it has before. It feels like a moment where their heart, their mind, and their intuition finally stopped pulling in different directions. Almost like they reached a point where they could not sit in the middle anymore. They could not keep wondering. They could not keep delaying. They could not keep acting like they needed more time when deep down they already knew. The first card coming through is the Two of Wands, and this tells me there was a crossroads here, a real one. This person has been standing between two paths for longer than they should have. One path kept them in what was familiar, controlled, and emotionally safer on the surface. The other path pulled them toward you, toward truth, toward vulnerability, toward the kind of connection that asks a person to be fully present. And I feel like for a while they tried to stay balanced between those two places, but that was never going to last. Because the Two of Wands can only hold that tension for so long, eventually a choice has to be made, and I feel like something happened very suddenly in their spirit. For some of you, this may have been triggered by missing you more intensely than usual. For others, it may have been a conversation, a dream, a sign, a wave of realization, or simply reaching emotional exhaustion with their own hesitation. But what I keep getting is that this person woke up to something. They woke up to the fact that their future keeps pointing in your direction. They woke up to the fact that no matter how much they tried to manage this connection mentally, it would not shrink into something smaller. It kept growing. It kept following them. It kept asking for an answer. The next card showing up is the Ace of Wands. So yes, action energy is here. Immediate energy, heat, momentum, desire, a spark that does not want to stay contained anymore. This is one of those energies where a person may suddenly feel like they have to do something now. They have to reach, they have to move, they have to stop holding themselves back because the pressure of not acting is starting to feel worse than the fear of acting. And I have to say, this does not feel random. This feels like a genuine surge from the heart. There is excitement here, but there's also certainty. That is what I like about it. Because sometimes the Ace of Wands can be all impulse and no grounding, but here with the Two of Wands before it, it feels like the fire came after a long period of thought. So this is not somebody acting on a passing mood. This is someone who has finally reached a personal threshold. They have thought about this enough. They have circled it enough. They have felt the absence, the pull, the question marks. And now something in them is saying, enough waiting, enough standing at the edge, enough pretending this can keep sitting unfinished. The next card I am seeing is the High Priestess, and wow, this is telling me that underneath everything they already knew, their inner voice has been trying to guide them for a long time. Their deeper knowing has been whispering the truth about you, the truth about this bond, the truth about what they actually want. But I feel like this person is not always comfortable listening to that part of themselves. They may have a habit of talking themselves out of what they feel, or overcomplicating what is actually very simple in the heart. But overnight, something got louder than their doubt. The knowing got louder. The truth got louder. The pull got louder. And because of that, the decision feels more solid now than it did before. For many of you, they may not even fully understand why the shift felt so sudden. They may just know that they cannot go back to how they were feeling yesterday. They cannot unsee what has now become clear to them. They cannot return to emotional limbo after touching this level of certainty. And I feel that is why the energy around them is so restless right now. Because once the soul says yes, the body wants to catch up, the hands want to move, the words want to form. The distance starts feeling unbearable. I want to look a little more deeply into what this decision actually is because it feels big, bigger than a simple message, bigger than a passing urge. This feels like someone deciding they do not want to lose their chance with you. Someone deciding they would rather risk honesty than keep living with the ache of doing nothing. And now that this has landed in them, I feel the next step is already beginning to build. The energy is shifting fast now, and I feel this is only the beginning of what they are about to set in motion toward you soon. The next card coming through is Judgment, and this is where the decision becomes undeniable, because this is not only someone thinking about you more, This is someone waking up, really waking up. I feel like something in them got shaken loose. A layer of confusion dropped, a layer of denial dropped, a layer of emotional fog lifted, and now they are seeing this connection in a much sharper light. Judgment is that moment where the soul says, no more pretending, no more standing off to the side of your own life, no more acting like you do not know what matters when deep down you do. And what I keep getting very strongly is that this person realized they cannot afford to keep waiting for the perfect time. Because the perfect time was never the real issue. The real issue was fear. Fear of being vulnerable, fear of being fully seen, fear of what happens when love stops being an idea and starts becoming a real choice with real consequences. But overnight, something shifted, and now I feel like they are less afraid of losing control and more afraid of losing you. That is a major change. The next card showing up is the Knight of Swords. So yes, there is urgency here now. A lot of it, this person may be moving quickly in their thoughts, thinking about what to say, thinking about how to approach you, thinking about whether they should message first, call first, explain first, apologize first. I feel a lot of mental movement. Almost like once the realization landed, their whole system went into motion. And for many of you, this person is not usually this immediate. They may normally sit with things for too long, delay until the feeling passes. Wait until the moment gets quieter, try to regain emotional control before making any move. But here, the Knight of Swords feels like someone who knows this cannot be delayed the same way anymore. Because the energy has become too loud, too direct, too pressing. And I have to say, there may even be a little panic underneath this, not in a bad way, but in the sense that they know the window is open now and they do not want to miss it. So the action building here feels very real. The next card I am seeing is the Lovers. Wow. So this tells me the decision they made is from the heart. Not just from loneliness, not just from chemistry, not just from ego or missing attention. No, this feels much deeper than that. The Lovers is saying they have recognized the meaning of this bond. They have recognized the pull. They have recognized that you are not just an option floating around in the background of their life. You are the person their heart keeps returning to when everything else gets quiet enough. And I feel for some of you, this person has finally understood that choosing you also means choosing honesty with themselves. Because sometimes a person does not avoid love because it is absent. Sometimes they avoid love because it is present in such a real way that it demands courage. It demands courage. It demands that they leave behind old patterns, old excuses, old emotional hiding places. And I feel like that is exactly the place they have arrived at. This is no longer just about how they feel. This is about who they are willing to become. The next card unfolding is the Eight of Wands. So yes, communication energy is here. Fast-moving energy, momentum. Something picking up speed after a long pause, and I feel like once they begin, more may come spilling out than even they expected. Because when somebody has been holding something in for a long time, the first opening can release so much at once. Words, emotion, confession, explanation, desire, I feel all of that building here for some of you. This may come in suddenly, a message out of nowhere. A conversation they can no longer put off, a burst of contact after a stretch of hesitation. And what I really like is that this does not feel half-hearted. It feels charged. It feels like somebody who has crossed an inner line and now cannot go back to how they were before. That is why the action feels different, because it is coming after a real internal decision, not before it. In the next part, I want to look at what exactly they are preparing to say, because I feel there is more than one layer here. There is desire, yes. There is movement, yes. But there is also truth they have been carrying for a while. Truth about what you mean to them. Truth about what they almost delayed too long. And truth about why this suddenly feels so urgent. Now, their heart is no longer whispering. It is demanding to be heard. And the strongest part of all of this is that they are not only thinking about reaching out, they are preparing themselves to follow through. That feels new. That feels important. Because this time, the energy is not sitting in possibility alone. It is leaning toward reality very soon. The next card coming through is the King of Cups. And this is telling me that what they are preparing to say is coming from a much deeper place than they usually show, because this person may not always be the easiest to read. They may hold so much inside, they may look composed on the outside, while a whole ocean is moving underneath. But the King of Cups does not play with emotion here. This is somebody who has been feeling a lot more than they have been revealing, and now I feel like those feelings are becoming too strong to keep contained in the same way. For many of you, this person has spent a long time trying to manage their heart privately, trying to stay calm, trying to stay reasonable, trying not to let you see just how much space you take up inside them, but something has changed. Because now I feel a softness rising in them, along with a seriousness. Not just, I miss you, not just, I want to talk. This feels more like, I cannot keep acting like this is small when it is not. And that is a very big shift. The next card showing up is the Three of Pentacles. So this tells me they are not only wanting contact, they are wanting to build. Wanting to repair, wanting to see whether something real can begin to take shape between you. I feel a much more mature energy here than before, because when the Three of Pentacles comes in, it says somebody is ready to contribute, ready to participate, ready to stop leaving everything in the emotional realm and start asking what can actually be made in the real world, and that matters. Because I do not feel this person only wants a beautiful moment. I feel they want progress, they want an opening. They want to know whether there is still a path to work with you, instead of just dreaming about you from a distance. The next card I am seeing is the Seven of Pentacles, and this tells me they are looking back over time, over everything that has grown between you, over what was planted, over what was delayed, over what was left sitting for too long. There is reflection here, but it feels different from before. It does not feel passive. It feels like they are finally understanding the value of patience and the cost of making someone wait too long. For some of you, they are realizing that your heart invested more than they admitted at the time, that your care was consistent, that your energy remained genuine. And now I feel they are asking themselves whether enough remains, whether they can still nurture what was once left unattended. There is humility in that, real humility, because they know something precious cannot simply be picked back up without care. The next card unfolding is the Page of Cups. So yes, I do feel a tender message here, an opening that may carry vulnerability. A tone that feels softer than what you are used to from them, almost like they are approaching with their guard lower than before. And I have to say this may surprise some of you because this person could come through in a way that feels sweeter, more exposed, more emotionally honest than you expected. Not because they suddenly became perfect, but because the truth has reached their heart in a way they can no longer keep armoring against. I also feel for some of you, they may admit that they have been thinking about you constantly, that they tried to move on mentally and could not, that they tried to quiet the bond and it only grew louder. And if they do not say those exact words, I feel that is the energy sitting underneath what they bring. The next card coming through is the Sunday. Beautiful, because this tells me they want openness now. They want the fog gone. They want something clear between you. And for many of you, they are tired of the heaviness that comes from overcomplicating what they already know. The Sunday is simple in the best way. It says, be honest, be direct, step into the light. So I really do feel this person is moving toward a clearer expression than they have given before. In the next part, I want to look at your side of this energy because I feel your response matters a great deal. This person may be arriving with sincerity, but you are not being shown as someone who will just melt because feelings appear. You have your own wisdom now, your own pace, your own truth. And I feel the way you receive this will shape what happens next in a very important way. This is no longer only about longing. It is about what can truly grow once the heart stops hiding. What is coming through very strongly is that they do not want to watch another day pass while saying nothing. They do not want this to remain only potential. They want movement. They want truth. They want to know whether your heart still leaves a little room for what they are finally ready to offer. And that question is pushing them closer now, with more courage than before. The next card coming through for you is the Queen of Pentacles, and this tells me your energy is much steadier now than this person may realize. There is warmth here. Yes. There is care here. Yes. But there is also grounding. There is self-respect. There is a deeper understanding of what love should feel like when it is healthy, reciprocal, and safe. So even though this person is moving towards you with more openness than before, I do not feel you are meeting that energy from a place of pure emotion alone. You are meeting it with wisdom. You are meeting it with discernment. You are meeting it as someone who has learned the difference between being touched and being truly held. The next card showing up is the Knight of Wands. So yes, a part of you is still guarded. And honestly, that makes so much sense because when someone takes a long time to arrive at clarity, the other heart does not simply forget the waiting. It does not simply erase the confusion. I feel you may still care for this person very deeply, but your spirit is not as quick to surrender its trust now. You may listen, you may feel them, you may want to believe in this shift. But I do not feel you are going to hand your whole heart over without seeing whether their actions can support what their words are finally trying to say. And that is a beautiful thing, because this is not resistance for the sake of resistance. This is wisdom protecting tenderness. This is your soul saying, if something is real, it can meet me calmly, it can prove itself gently, it can stay. The next card I am seeing is the Ace of Pentacles. Wow, this is very important because this tells me that what is opening here actually has the potential to become something solid, something lived, something that moves beyond fantasy and starts planting itself in the real world. I feel a chance being offered, a real one, not just a romantic moment, not just a passionate confession, but an opening where something meaningful could begin to take form if both of you handle it with honesty and patience. And what I like here is that the Ace of Pentacles has a very grounded kind of hope. It does not rush. It does not promise everything overnight. It simply says, here's the seed, here's the opportunity, here's the opportunity, here's the beginning of something that could grow beautifully if it is truly cared for this time. The next card unfolding is the Four of Swords. So I do feel you are going to take a moment. You are not rushing your response. You are not throwing yourself headfirst into emotion. You may need quiet. You may need to sit with what they say. You may need to feel whether this new energy lands safely in your body before you decide how much to open. And that pause is not a bad sign. It is actually part of your strength, because I feel you have learned that clarity does not have to be dramatic. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is breathe, listen, observe. Let the truth settle. And I feel that is exactly what you are going to do here. The next card coming through between you both is Temperance. Beautiful. Because this tells me there is a possibility for healing here. Not through force, not through pressure, not through one person carrying the entire emotional weight, but through balance, through steady effort, through both hearts coming into a calmer rhythm with each other. I also feel Temperance is asking you not to abandon your own inner peace while exploring this connection again. Yes, there may be emotion. Yes, there may be relief. Yes, there may be excitement. But I feel your guidance is to stay centered, stay in your body, stay close to your intuition. Let things unfold at a pace that allows trust to rebuild naturally. Now, I want to look at what action they may take after opening this door, because I feel the first reach is only the beginning. What matters just as much is whether they continue, whether they follow through, whether they bring consistency after courage, because that is what will truly tell you what this overnight decision is made of. The shift is real, but now it has to become something lived. That is where the story deepens. And I feel you already know that in your heart. And one more thing coming through strongly, this person may be expecting you to feel urgency right away, but your soul is asking for steadiness more than speed. You are not looking for a rush that burns brightly and then fades. You are looking for presence that remains. So even if part of you feels moved by what they bring, I feel you checking for depth, checking for sincerity, checking for whether this can hold. That is not you being difficult. That is you honoring everything your heart had to learn while they were still making up their mind. And I feel that carefulness is going to help you see this situation clearly, because real change does not mind being witnessed now. The next card coming through is the Knight of Pentacles. And this is what I really wanted to see here, because this tells me the action is not going to disappear as quickly as it arrives. This does not feel like a sudden emotional rush that burns bright for one night and then fades back into silence. No, this feels like somebody deciding to move with care. Toe move with purpose. Toe move in a way that can actually be trusted over time. And I have to say that changes the whole feeling of this reading, because when a person makes a decision overnight, sometimes the fear is that they are only reacting to a wave of emotion. But the Knight of Pentacles says this person wants to ground the decision now. They want to make it real. They want to follow through. For many of you, they are thinking very seriously about what comes after the first message, after the first conversation, after the first opening. They are not only asking, how do I reach out? They are also asking, how do I stay? That is powerful, because staying requires much more than desire. It requires patience. It requires reliability. And I feel like this person is beginning to understand that in a deeper way than before. The next card showing up is the Six of Pentacles. So yes, there is a strong desire here to bring balance back into this connection, to give more, to participate more, to stop leaving everything in your hands emotionally. I feel like this person knows on some level that the energy has been uneven for too long. They know you have carried more of the emotional weight. They know you have had to sit with more uncertainty, and what is coming through now is a wish to correct that, not in a performative way, but in a way where you can actually feel them trying to meet you, trying to match your sincerity, trying to create an exchange that feels fairer than what you have known before. For some of you, this may begin with very simple things: more consistent contact, clearer effort, more openness about where they are, what they feel, what they want. And sometimes those simple things matter more than grand declarations, because they create emotional safety. They create steadiness. They let the heart breathe. The next card I am seeing is the Eight of Pentacles. Beautiful, because this tells me they are willing to work on this. Not just wish for it, not just fantasize about you, not just feel inspired for a moment, but actually work. And I feel that word strongly here. Work. This person may be realizing that if they want something meaningful with you, then intention alone is not enough. Love has to be tended, communication has to be practiced, trust has to be rebuilt, and presence has to be repeated enough times that it starts feeling natural again. So I really do feel them preparing to put in effort. They may think more carefully before they speak. They may become more conscious of how they affect you. They may start paying attention to the details they once overlooked, because now the connection feels precious to them in a way that makes them want to handle it better. The next card unfolding is the Chariot, and wow, there is momentum here. Not chaotic movement, not scattered movement, directed movement. A person who has finally gathered themselves enough to go where their heart has been pointing all along. So after this opening, I do feel they continue. I do feel them pushing past hesitation. I do feel them trying to close the space between you in a more intentional way. And what I like about the Chariot here is that it says obstacles are not stopping them the same way anymore. The excuses do not feel as powerful. The confusion does not feel as convincing, because once somebody truly decides, the path starts clearing in ways it could not before. The next card coming through is the Ten of Cups. And this tells me what is driving all of this. It is not only attraction, it is not only longing, it is the feeling of emotional fulfillment when they think of you. The feeling that there is something here that could become deeply meaningful, deeply shared, deeply healing. I feel this person is no longer looking at you as a passing possibility. They are looking at you as someone with whom real happiness may be possible. And that is why the action is becoming more serious now. In the final part, I want to look at the outcome and the deeper guidance around this shift, because I feel what started overnight is not staying in the realm of impulse. It is moving into something more deliberate than that. They do not want another almost with you. They do not want another missed opening. They do not want another moment where fear speaks louder than love. So now they are trying to become someone who can carry this decision forward instead of dropping it the moment it becomes real. And honestly, that may be the biggest shift of all right now. And now we come to the final outcome energy, and the next card coming through is Justice. And this feels very important, because what began as a sudden realization is now moving towards something that wants to become real in the open. Justice tells me this person is no longer comfortable leaving things hanging in a gray area. They want things named, they want things clarified. They want to correct where they have been unclear, delayed, or emotionally uneven with you. So the overnight decision was not only I want you, it was also I need to do right by this. And that is a very different kind of energy because when somebody starts caring about the impact they have had on your heart, that is when the connection begins to mature. The next card showing up is the Ace of Swords. Beautiful because this tells me there is truth coming in. Clear truth, direct truth, a conversation that cuts through months of uncertainty, mixed signals, private feelings, and all the inner back and forth that kept this person standing at a distance for too long. I feel that they do not want to hint anymore. They do not want to send you confusing energy anymore. They do not want to leave you trying to decode what they feel. No, this feels like someone wanting to speak plainly, wanting to tell you what changed, wanting to tell you what they know now, wanting to tell you that the choice inside them is not floating anymore. It has landed. For some of you, this may include an admission that they should have acted sooner, that they spent too much time wrestling with themselves, that they let hesitation stretch out what could have been much simpler if they had only trusted what they felt from the beginning. And I feel that honesty matters because the truth does not only open the door to reunion, it also gives your heart something solid to stand on. The next card I am seeing is the Four of Wands. So yes, this shift carries beautiful reunion energy. But more than that, it carries the feeling of finally coming into the same space after too much emotional distance, of peace returning, of warmth returning, of two people no longer standing on opposite sides of uncertainty. I feel this person wants stability with you now. They want something that feels anchored, mutual, and safe enough to grow. And what is so lovely here is that this does not feel like them chasing a fantasy. It feels like them recognizing where home is, recognizing where their spirit settles, recognizing that what they kept circling back to in their heart was not random at all. It was you. The next card unfolding is the Empress, and wow, this is still how they are seeing you, as someone precious. Somebody rare, somebody they do not want to mishandle. Again, I feel a lot of admiration here, a lot of tenderness, a lot of awareness that your energy is not something they can keep approaching carelessly. Because for many of you, they know you could have closed this chapter already. They know you could have hardened. They know they are fortunate that the bond still has life in it at all. So there is gratitude here too, and I feel that is softening them, making them less defensive, making them more willing to show you their heart instead of hiding behind control. The next card coming through is Strength, and this is your guidance. Stay in your grace, stay in your center. Let this person come towards you, but let them come all the way. Do not shrink your wisdom just because the movement feels exciting. Do not ignore what your intuition notices just because the moment feels hopeful. You can welcome what is genuine and still move with care. You can feel happy and still remain grounded. You can let love in and still ask it to be steady. That is your power here because I do feel this energy is real. I do feel they are taking action. I do feel something changed overnight in a way that is not easily undone. But I also feel that this new chapter wants to be built with consciousness, not only emotion. The final card coming through is the Sunday, and this is such a beautiful final message because the Sunday says what was hidden begins to come into the light, what was delayed begins to move. What was uncertain begins to clear, and what was felt in silence begins to speak. So yes, I do feel they made a really big decision about you. Yes, I do feel they are taking action now. Yes, I do feel the energy is moving out of the waiting room and into something much more alive. But the deepest message is this. They are not only moving because they miss you, they are moving because they see you. They see the value. They see the bond, they see the possibility, and now they do not want to watch their own heart stay silent while something beautiful waits to be lived. This feels like a true turning point. Not only a feeling, a choice, and a choice that is finally moving. And this feels very important because what began as a sudden realization is now moving towards something that wants to become real in the open. Justice tells me this person is no longer comfortable leaving things hanging in a gray area. They want things named, they want things clarified. They want to correct